morning and welcome to Together for LA's first weekly webinar to support small business in our disaster recovery and resilience effort. We see people joining and we'll wait just a moment before we begin the program. Again, you've arrived at the weekly Together for LA Small Business Assistance webinar. We'll be starting in just a moment as we wait for people to join us. Good morning and welcome. My name is John Bueri. I'm the Deputy Director of the Dr. Lucy Jones Center for Science and Society, and it's my honor to be your host today at today's Together for LA Small Business Assistance webinar as we work to help our small business community recover from these devastating wildfires. We want to acknowledge that this week has been challenging for all of us, especially those located in the fire areas, but we are here as a community to work together for LA. This is a coalition that has been working for a number of years to support small business recovery and resilience, first in the COVID-19 pandemic and then more subsequently in other local disasters. And today is no different. We are joined by a number of experts and partners in order to provide direct information for small businesses to be able to come back stronger and successful across this region. Today, you're going to be hearing from a number of experts from the city and the county. But before we do, I just want to acknowledge that this is going to be a weekly webinar at Fridays at 11 a.m. You'll get an email with the topic in advance of those webinars. And then we'll continue to have this as an opportunity for you to connect and get updated information each week. Also, if you have specific questions that are not able to be answered during our Q&A period, we will have contact information for individuals you can reach out to directly at the end of the webinar. Finally, we'll be recording the webinar, so if there's something that you miss, you'll be able to see it on the Together for LA website coming up after today's session. So without further ado, I'd like to first introduce from the County of Los Angeles, Jessica Kim, who is the Assistant Director of the Department of Economic Opportunity. Jessica.
Thank you, John. And I absolutely share John's sentiments. Our hearts go out to all those who've been victims of this, of the wind and wildfire storms. On behalf of LA County's Department of Economic Opportunity, just wanted to share our commitment that with our Together for LA partners to ensure that we're bringing resources both for our businesses and workers with a particular eye on inclusive economic recovery. I am here at the local assistance center here in Pasadena, so I apologize for being in my car today. But if you are in need of resources, there are 2 local assistance centers that are set up. I'm sure more information will be shared and links will be provided, but we are seeing new resources being stood up on a daily basis. And there is a wealth of technical assistance providers to help every business and worker. So if you're a business, there are job centers, there are the city's business source centers and many others. If you're a worker, we have 40 America's Job Centers across the region where you can access these services. Yesterday, Governor Gavin Newsom announced a $20 million grant both to the county and the city of Los Angeles to support worker recovery. That allows us to increase surge capacity as we support recovery efforts for workers, but also the job training, the rapid reemployment services that are needed with enough funding to support the supporter services that are also needed to ensure whole person supports. And we are coordinating across our CBO partners, as well as our fellow county and city departments. And so as you participate today and learn more and more, just know we continue to push for additional resources. We have clear communication. There's been a wealth of strong partnership between our state, federal, city, county partners so that we are providing seamless information and that our commitment is to do it week in and week out with you all. So again, you'll hear a lot of resources, but just wanted to lift up. Thankfully, for the $20 million investment coming, we will have additional worker support. So please visit our job centers to access that. We already have our regular services, but there'll be additional resources pouring in shortly. So with that, again, I hope you come to one of our location assistance centers. And if there's anything else that you are hearing, I look forward to hearing through the comments and watching the Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. And also, just I put it in the chat, but if you have a question during one of our speakers, please use the Q&A feature and we'll either filter that to them or definitely work to get to as many as we can at the end of the formal program. Next, I'd like to introduce Fred Jackson, who's the Assistant General Manager of the City of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department. Fred?
Thank you, John. And on behalf of the city and all of the county partners and Together for LA, just want to highlight and raise that we understand the challenges and that you're facing and the difficult time that you are experiencing, and that you're not alone, that the city and all of our partners, we stand with you. We're offering our assistance and support, and to just stay strong, and together we're going to rise from this adversity. So on behalf of the city, we have several resources that are currently available. We have different collaborative partnership with the county, but we have 10 business source centers throughout the city, which will provide comprehensive recovery resources for businesses, offering free one-on-one consultation. We also have 14 work source centers, which can provide and will provide personal employment services to those who are experiencing and need to receive any sort of employment assistance with benefits, as well as 14 youth source centers that are also located throughout the city. And then we have a partnership with the county for our legal aid, providing free legal services to qualified businesses, to review your insurance policies, to assist with navigating your insurance claims and filing those claims. In addition to that, we have other recovery resources. There are the LA Region Business Assistance, which has a whole list of technical assistance resources. And then we have our Rapid Response, which provides layoff and immediate service and assistance to employers and workers to access unemployment compensation benefits, healthcare, training services, and emergency services, and other significant services. There is the iBank, a unit within the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, which offer loans, programs for businesses that have been affected by the fires. And then we have a comprehensive list of resources that are available for impacted Angelenos. As Jessica mentioned, we have earlier this week set up 2 disaster recovery centers. Jessica's in Pasadena at the Pasadena City College. There is also one on the west side of Los Angeles at the UCLA Research Park. And these centers are open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. They will help individuals who have lost their vital records, who've lost their homes or businesses, apply for disaster relief loans, as well as provide referrals for mental health, counseling, and other services. So if you want to reach out to us for additional services and resources, these are links, phone numbers, and websites that you can access and get additional assistance from. And I have provided this presentation that will be made available to everyone in attendance. And I'll turn it back over to John. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Fred. Next, as I mentioned, Together for LA is a public-private partnership that includes government partners that, like you've heard from, but also from a number of leading business organizations in Los Angeles. One of those leading business organizations that we partner with is the LA Economic Development Corporation. So I'd like to turn it over to its CEO and Executive Director, Stephen Chung.
Thank you so much, Sean. Good to see everybody here. As we're looking at the resources that are available, and as John was mentioning before, there are a lot of resources that are becoming developed on every single day. And so to what Jessica and also what Fred was mentioning, there's a lot of information out there. We want to make sure that the Together for LA group is able to process and streamline that information for the small businesses so they can access that information as quickly as possible. And you heard a lot of data, a lot of information, and a lot of links that will be available. This is all going to be available on our website, the togetherforla.com. So if you just go search for togetherforla.com, you're going to get access to information. I'm going to share my screen right now to give you a quick look at the website and the types of resources that you can expect to see. And so together, we just want to make sure that the information is as seamless as possible. So for emergency recovery, we can get access to the information that Jessica and Fred shared about the County of Los Angeles and City of Los Angeles resources that are there. Some of the folks might need special assistance and just basically want someone to talk to them. So please feel free to contact our LAEDC Business Assistance team. You can enter your information and we'll follow up to make sure that you get your one-on-one consultation so that we can direct you to the right resources as well. Additionally, you're going to be hearing later on from the Small Business Administration in terms of the resources that are going to be available through the federal government. This partnership really is a mixture of federal, state, local, which includes county, city, but also, to John's point, the nonprofit organizations that are working hand in hand together so you can have information. Another aspect for businesses is a lot of you guys are looking to help your workers as well. And as Jessica's mentioning, there are going to be resources available for workforce development as well as the American Job Centers. Additionally, there are going to be requests for technical assistance and supportive services. Again, we're going to update the resources that are available. In the comments, I already see that some of the folks are offering additional platforms of support. We'll reach out to make sure that we're including these resources on the website to make sure everything is available. I do want to highlight a couple of key things as well. As the businesses, we're hearing a lot that they need additional financial assistance. SBA is going to be talking about the loan options that are going to be available, but we're also anticipating that there will be grants that's going to be available shortly. One, the area Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, the president and CEO of LA Chamber, Maria Salinas, couldn't join us, but they launched their LA Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation Small Business Disaster Recovery Fund. That's going to be available for small businesses to apply for grants to help them through this period. Additionally, we anticipate that United Way LA will be also releasing a small business fund. And then for inclusive action for the city, there's an open air worker emergency fund for workers that are impacted in, for example, street vendors, as well as landscape workers, other folks that might need assistance, about $500 as well. So as these funds are becoming available, we'll make sure to link this so that you can have direct access to that. For additional information, there are a lot of other resources. LAEDC and a number of different partners have actually created additional resource page. So you can actually access more information that are maybe duplicative, but it can also give you information about accommodation, childcare, transportation as well. But we really want to focus on the Together for LA sites is a coordinating effort so that on a weekly basis, as John mentioned, every Friday, we're able to deliver the webinar information and update the website togetherforla.com. I'll pass it back to John.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. And I just want to reiterate that we'll continue to update this website with resources. We know that a number of grants are being planned for small businesses from various organizations, from various associations. And as those come online, we'll share them here as long as they're vetted and make sure that they're truly available to you. And so that's a place you can come for those resources. I also let you know that I'll be posting in the chat the LA regional resources from all the government agencies, just processes and support. I'll put that in the chat in just a moment. But it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker that actually has some direct assistance for small businesses and is here to also hopefully answer some questions. We have Crystal Staval, who is with the SBA. She's the Assistant Director for the Los Angeles region, which is more than LA even. And she has some information about the programs the SBA has for small businesses. They are the Small Business Administration, and so they are all about small business, and they have a very specific role in disaster response. So, Crystal, take it away.
Thank you, John. It's my pleasure to be with you this morning, and I want to echo the sentiments expressed by the city and county officials that you've heard from already, that we express our most sincere, heartfelt sympathy and condolences for what your region is experiencing, what our entire region is experiencing. With that being said, I want to encourage you that SBA stands at the ready to provide immediate assistance in the form of loans, low interest loans to the business community. With that, I'll share my screen to cover what we have available at this time. And okay, hopefully you're able to see my screen, and I will just give a brief overview of our program loans. So we have a business loan that is designed specifically for physical disaster. So physical damage to the entity itself. In addition to that, we have the economic injury disaster loan, which is referred to often as EIDL. That will address any losses incurred or any economic injury as a result of the disaster. And then, of course, for the general public, we have home disaster loan assistance. A couple of things I want you to keep in mind are deadlines, which may be extended in the future, but as they stand right now, for any physical disaster or damage loans, those deadlines the deadline set for that currently is March 10th of this year. And for economic injury, the deadline is for October 8th. But again, those deadlines may be extended. You'll find all of the most up-to-date information on our website. These are the contacts that are available for any additional clarification, anything that I can't address in today's session. Feel free to contact the Los Angeles District Office directly. You can speak with either myself as deputy director or our director. We also have that information available to you through the website. So our contact information will be made available to you. And let me return just one moment. I do want to highlight our assistance area centers that are currently open. We have multiple locations that are currently open, and we are steadily opening additional sites. This information, again, will be made available to you on the website, and we will provide updates as they come in. I do want to let you know that we are also open to any suggestions you may have for site locations. You can contact either the director, Julie Close, or myself, deputy director at Crystal Sobel at the addresses that we will provide. We also have fact sheets available for you to share with others who may have been impacted, but more specifically for your use. And we do have them available in 6 languages, and we will provide those resources directly on the website. And I will stress that while you may be outside of the Los Angeles County area, you are still eligible for EIDL, which is the economic injury, if your business has been impacted by the disaster. And those contiguous counties that are eligible for EIDL include Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. So those resources will be available for individuals who've suffered that economic injury as a result of the disaster. And with that, I will leave it open for questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Crystal, and thank you to all of our speakers. We also have a couple other experts who are from different county agencies, et cetera, that can also answer questions today. There's a number of questions in the chat, and I just want to start getting to those. One is about, we heard a couple things when Stephen mentioned the LA Area Chamber Fund. I just want to announce, I put it in the chat as well, but the Chamber is expecting to open that up for applications in early February. They're going to be partnering with the local CDFI partners, and there's going to be grants up to $25,000 through the Chamber Fund. So that you should look for that, and we'll put announcements out. If you register today, we'll have your contact information, and we'll keep you updated through this platform, and you'll see it on the website as well for that. I do see a couple folks who have offering their services and resources. So maybe I can ask Stephen to come back up on screen and speak to, if someone has, maybe they're, for anybody listening, if they have expertise or interest in actually getting involved, volunteering, what's a way that they might be able to connect with us?
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Right now, there are a lot of different offers coming through, and we are trying to sort through what's the best channel so that it doesn't overwhelm more small businesses. So for now, at the Together for LA website, website, there is a volunteer button. If you click on that button, you can basically enter your information and we'll start collecting information and contacting you. Once we're able to sort through the different types of resources that are available, we will basically coordinate with the county and the city to make sure that's this is a streamlined process. Of course, as some of the folks are offering already, there are existing structure that are going to be in place, and we just want to make sure that it becomes a one-stop shop for folks to access that information. So as you're offering your support, we'll be reaching out. I see your offer, Glenn. Thank you so much. We'll be reaching out as well to make sure that we're able to coordinate with all the various resources. I will say though, right now there are specific needs. A lot of folks are actually, for the small businesses, are needing support when it comes to financial and accounting support as well as legal support. So we're working with the California CPA Association to do a matchmaking service so that we can have the volunteers basically be matched through the Cal CPA site. And then later on, there's going to be ability for them to match directly with the folks that are in need. Separately, through the State Bar Association, they've referred us to both BetZedek and also Public Counsel, which is currently working with the county and the city for the legal services. There are technology needs and other needs as well. So those are not sorted yet. And this is an evolving process as we're all coming together to make sure that we're streamlining this. So please work with us so that we can actually get your information out there. So again, the simple way is go to togetherforla.com, go to the volunteer button, enter the information so that we can track and get in touch with you. Thank you.
And I'm seeing a question here that's a little bit more generic. I'm not sure if it's Layla Lee, who's also with the County of Los Angeles Department of Economic Opportunity, or perhaps for Fred in the city. But what programs or services are available for losses to rental properties that they have outside their primary home? So they may have a rental so it's their business in the impacted area, but it is a home. Is there some different program, or maybe Crystal through SBA, there's an answer for that? How does someone apply for resources there?
I think, Crystal, that would be more right, the SBA loan, correct? The disaster one.
Yes. And for business rentals, you are still eligible for EIDL, and the physical damage, if it impacts you, you would include that as a part of your financial documentation of the impact to your business. While you can't apply for the physical damage loan if you were renting the property for commercial purposes, you can, however, still apply for the economic injury loan. Rentals, we do allow homeowners to apply where they have loss of business due to damage to their property as a rental property. They're able to actually apply for both physical and EIDL. But in the situation where it's the entity itself that is renting, you are eligible for economic injury loan.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. Danny asks about his business is being impacted as a tourism, and he needs the loans and grants now. So what's the quickest way to get a loan, and what is the interest rate? So Crystal, I think that's back to you. And then I'll follow up with a grant question.
So the quickest way is to go on the website and begin the process. You don't have to wait to receive insurance documentation. You do not have to wait to apply to FEMA first. You can apply immediately. And if you have any questions at all, it's probably best for you to go to one of our locations and work with an individual on site for specific questions you may have about the application process.
Great. And what's the interest rate generally for these, like for the EIDL loan or the physical disaster loan?
You would think I have it memorized, but let me pull that information for you. And the interest rate varies, of course, depending on the type of loan. For all business loans, the interest rate is 4%, where no credit is available, and where credit is available, we have, I apologize. And the second interest rate that I'm going to provide is actually specifically for nonprofit organizations. So the interest rate on physical damage for business loans is 4%. For nonprofit organizations, it's 3.625%. For economic injury, the interest rate is 4%. And for nonprofit organizations with economic injury, it's 3.625%.
Great, thank you. And then in terms of applying for grants, again, I'll just reiterate, there's a number of funds that are being set up, and you'll see those coming online in the next couple of weeks. We know at least one's coming on early February. I know the county is working on one as well. And so you will see, in the city together. So you'll see more grants coming soon. I know that we wish they were up and running, but there is a process to get them actually funded and operational, so you can actually apply and the money can start flowing. So we will continue to update our website and through these weekly webinars when those grants are available. But they are coming, and we are doing our best as a business community to advocate for as much as we can for those funds to be available. Next, there's a question that came through about grants for property owners who lost their properties or their income that are single family owned. When is a grant considered? When is a business owner considered? When is a property owner considered a business owner? Is there some distinction for that? Do we have an answer to that? How that distinction is made?
I think it's best to say, let me lead with this caveat at least, that for very specific questions, it is best to go and work with an individual that is at our disaster center. But I can say that if the property is in fact used as the business itself, the example that comes to mind is a rental, then the property is considered a commercial property. And in situations where you have very unique nuances, it's best to work with both your case manager, who will be assigned at the time you apply, as well as those individuals in the business locations that we gave, the actual disaster recovery centers. But even more than that, we can offer through the Los Angeles District Office our women's business centers, as well as our SBDCs. Those entities are available now. You can go in person, or you can contact them by phone to work through very specific, questions that you may have about the application process itself, or about what is required for the application.
Great. Thank you for that. I'm just scanning through. There's a lot of questions here, and so we're gonna do as best we can to get through as many as we can, and we'll stay as long as we can. We've got 18 minutes left. I think we should, but I just want to acknowledge I'm seeing a lot of great questions here, and I'm asking our panelists if they can also look at the questions to be prepared. I want to make sure that we get to some very quick ones for a minute here. One is. What does SBA versus FEMA offer for grants and loans? And I can just first say that right now, SBA does not offer grants at this time, and FEMA is, I don't believe, offering business assistance at this time. But Crystal, can you clarify that?
Absolutely, John, that is correct. And I will stress that FEMA is designed to address immediate basic needs. So food, housing, clothing, those types of needs are addressed by FEMA. And SBA is more designed for that long-term recovery, relocation, rebuilding, putting you back in that place of your original standing. So getting you back to functioning fully and standing in the gap where you're not able to do so, where you're suffering economic injury. Those are the primary differences.
Great. And don't go off camera, because the next one says, for EIDL loan, is there a minimum credit score, and are we able to use income from 2024 if we have our financials completed for the year, even though it's too early to file taxes?
With business loans, we are looking at business credit specifically. And I want you to know as well, this is a great place to put this caveat in. Even if you receive an initial denial, it is not fatal. You can always request reconsideration. If you need further documentation, SBA will not just deny you outright. They will request very specific documentation. And not having filed for 2024 does not preclude you from receiving the loan. I hope that covered each of those points.
Right. Thank you.
You're
Cindy
welcome.
asks, could you do a recap of the anticipated timelines to receive the aid from SBA?
That we have not established yet because it will depend on the loan type. It's very specific to the application itself. I can advise that as soon as the application is in and complete, we already have people in place that are reviewing and acting as case managers and making disbursements. So I would just encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible. We don't have a definitive timeline for the turnaround.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How long are the idle loans? Idle loans. Do having one from the pandemic impact your ability to apply for a new one? And what do you think about credit?
I think about credit. I have a lot of thoughts about credit. Having had a COVID idle loan, you are not precluded from receiving a loan for disaster, for this current disaster. You are allowed to stack, if you will, relief from various disasters. So it does not preclude you. In terms of credit, it is on a case-by-case basis. Again, if you are experiencing hardship, I would encourage you to include that in your initial application, a statement to that effect, and we are willing to work with you. And again, if you don't have sufficient documentation at the start, we have a case manager who will walk you through the reconsideration process. But please, once you actually apply, monitor your email daily, because if we have a need of additional information, those action items will be sent to you via email.
Okay. Here's a quick one. What are the hours at PCC at the Assistance Center to talk with a staff member?
I can make that available in the chat. I do not know it off of the top of my head. I apologize.
It's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Great. Thank you, Fred.
How is the loan amount determined for an idle loan?
It is on a case-by-case basis. They do look at what you can support as your loss. So if you can show past earnings, if you can show past revenue, whatever documentation you can provide to make a strong case, then that amount will be based on what you provide. But keep in mind, you can always request additional funds, and you don't have to take the full amount. There is no penalty for taking more and repaying it early. And so you will have many options to request additional funding.
Great. So there's a couple more lengthy questions that I want to get to as well. I tried to do a couple rapid fire there for Crystal. Thank you. So Robert asks a really good question. What if you don't have loss of property, but your business supported other businesses that were lost, or you had a business that supported homes in those areas that are now gone? So he no longer can do his business because of the geography he served and because of what he does. And doesn't have an office, doesn't have any of these things. Is there some way he can get help? Is that like, Crystal, is that you, or is there somewhere else?
SBA does offer that type of assistance. It will depend on where you have indicated your physical location for your business. So while you may be entirely virtual in your business operations, if you must still have a business registered through SAMS and with a physical location that is associated with the business, if that is located within one of our contiguous counties, that's Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, Ventura, then you are still eligible for idle loans.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so then someone asks, a commercial tenant responsible so you're a tenant, you don't own the building or don't own the property, but you're a tenant and you've had damage that you're responsible for because of your lease. Is there a loan for that?
On a case-by-case basis, but it does sound, based on the information shared thus far, you would be eligible. It is definitely not to your disadvantage to apply. Let SBA make that decision, and then also work with SBA to be reconsidered if it is an initial denial.
Okay. So I had two questions. I'm going to combine them about expediting. Number one, someone asked, do you talk to your congressman or your senator to expedite your processing, number one, or is there other things that you can do to expedite once you apply or as you apply? What's the way to expedite if possible?
This time, there is no process for expediting. We are taking each application as it comes through the door. It is rapid fire, though. We do have personnel in place. They are processing daily. So the sooner you submit your application, the better. Even if you don't have everything that is available, that may not be available to you right now, it's still best practice to go ahead and apply and let us request additional documentation. But as it stands right now, there is no expedition process.
Okay. We talked about existing loans, and as long as it's a COVID EIDL loan, you're still able to apply. Does other loans matter? Like if you have a private loan or a commercial loan outside of government, does that make a difference for the resources from SBA?
It doesn't, but we will not duplicate any benefits. So, for example, if you've received insurance, an insurance payout, or one is anticipated, then we can't duplicate those benefits. But we recognize that because of the extent of the damage, that those funds available through other sources may not be sufficient. So the idea is SBA loans are there to fill the gap of anything that's uninsured or any shortage of provision.
Great. Just a reminder to everybody, a couple key items. We will record this. We are recording this presentation, and we will post it on the website. And then also, question back to you is there a maximum amount for EIDL and for business physical disaster, or is that something that is case by case?
It's case by case, but we do have limits, initial limits that have been set. Let me pull those for you. And again, we will make all of this available to you as mentioned previously. We are looking at, I believe the upper limit is 200. Just one moment. Let me confirm. Okay. By the end of the day, I'm sure I'll have it all memorized. Okay. The upper limits as they stand right now, we have for economic injury, so the EIDL loan, it's $2 million. It's the current cap. Again, keep in mind these caps may change. For a business loan, the cap for injury and physical is going to be $2 million. And that applies to, the combination of physical, economic injury, mitigation, and refinancing. And that is a statutory limit. But again, that may change. That cap may be increased. We'll learn in time if there is a change to that, but that is as it stands right now.
Okay. This may not be for you. I think it might be for someone else that might be able to refer it. But is there any information on independent contractors or self-employed people being able to apply for EDD unemployment benefits? I don't know if Layla or Fred, you've got any information on that.
Yeah, I do not. I do not.
Yeah, for workforce, if you visit our website, let me put it on the chat. There's going to be links to information for workforce and employee support.
Okay, great. And I think we'll get more clarity on that. I know that there's a number of programs right now being discussed and voted on it in the state about worker resources. And so we'll make sure that as that comes out, it'll be updated on our website as well. Has there been, I'm going to hold Mark Robertson's question for a minute. You mentioned, I just want to clarify, Crystal, you did mention that SBA doesn't duplicate efforts, but it may not restrict you from receiving other resources from someone else in the private sector. So that's not an SBA requirement, but it may be the requirement of another fund. So if you go to one of these, either the LA Chamber Fund or one of the other funds set up, there may be a requirement. We don't know yet, but I think the best advice right now is what we know in front of us is that there's an SBA loan available. If you need that assistance, that's going to be your best bet right now today to apply for. And then you can make a decision whether to accept it as those other funds come online. SBA is going to probably be the largest amount you'll be able to get compared to some of the funds of what I've seen preliminarily, that they're again, the grants are probably going to be stopgaps. But if you need large sums, it's going to be the SBA that's going to be able to help you with that. Can you clarify, let's see, can you clarify the deadlines for these funds, Crystal, for economic injury or property damage? Is there a deadline?
The deadline for physical damage to your business entity is March 10th. That may be extended, but for now, act as if it is March 10th, is what I advise. For economic injury, the deadline is October 8th. And again, that may be extended. So, but for now, I encourage you to act as if these deadlines are hard and fast.
Okay. Do any of the loans cover temporary support for additional HVAC or air scrubbing to clean the air inside offices? So your office is still around, but maybe you're near one of the impacted areas and you need this funding. Are these loans available for that use?
And that is covered by mitigation. So, and any damage to the property. So that would be physical.
That'd be the physical loan. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Let me come back to the top. So Brenda asked a couple minutes ago, about 20 minutes ago, about other organizations having resources and support available. I just want to reiterate that Together for LA is connected with many, if not all, of the business support organizations across LA County, from the San Gabriel Valley to the West Side to the San Fernando Valley and across the county. So if you are going to one of your local chambers of commerce or local business organizations, if they're not, they can absolutely be connected to us, but we are pushing this information out to them as well, so they can share these meetings and other resources as they come online as a way to continue to get that information out as far as we can, so as many people can benefit from the resources that are being made available.
John,
Stephen?
add to that as well. The local regional economic development organizations, including San Gabriel Economic Partnership, Long Beach Economic Partnership. I see that Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation is here, Santa Clarita, Antelope Valley, and a number of different of those partners are already informed and part of this group. So we have been pushing the information out to them as well. So we're building the Together for LA network. So it's going to continue to grow, and the information and resources that we're sharing right now will go to all of them as well. So when you reach out to them, they should have access to this information and be able to direct back to the site.
Great. And then Priscilla, I'm not sure your question here, but there is on the website Stephen mentioned earlier, if you would like to assist, we are collecting interested firms and experts who have resources they'd like to volunteer or offer to support recovery. We're in a moment right now where it's still pretty fast moving, as all of us can watch through the news, that there's a lot of moving pieces and there's a lot of people working to provide assistance to our small business community. And we know that there's a lot of work behind the scenes happening right now. And we're excited about what we might be able to announce next week with new funds available, new resources available that are both in the government, but also in the private sector. Our philanthropic partners in local foundations and corporate foundations are stepping up to contribute to major funds to help support small businesses. And so it is a whole community approach that Together for LA is really leaning on to bring these resources to our small businesses and those affected by this disaster. So I hope that you'll take that message and communicate that we are all working to provide private sector, public sector, nonprofit sector support for our recovery as we move forward.
And John, to add to that, I want to emphasize that the Together for LA group is really focused on small business recovery. I see that there are a lot of folks who are trying to offer donations and support. I'm going to list another organization, Emergency Network LA, which is enla.org. They actually are coordinating a lot of the different types of donation that can go to individuals that may not be specifically related to the business operation, which is what we're using Together for LA to really focus on. So just want to kind of have a bit of a distinction so that as you're volunteering your donations, it should be guided towards the Emergency Network LA, which the county and the city is also partnering with.
I'm going to take one more question, and then we're gonna thank our experts for being here. I want Hector's question about once you've applied to check the status, the SBA site will ask to upload a Social Security number card to verify identity. Is that correct, Crystal?
I'm not sure I understand. So in SBA My Portal, they're asking if it's required to enter their Social Security number, their personal social. If you're applying strictly for business, it should ask for the tax identification number.
Great. Thank you for that.
And I will just add one additional point with regard to the credit check. For businesses, what SBA uses is the FICO SBSS score.
Great. There's a couple more questions. If you, Crystal, once again, if someone has a question for you or the SBA, they can go to the assistance centers that are set up in Pasadena and West LA. It's number one. Those are open from, what do we say, 9 to 8 p.m., 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then they can also go to the website. There's some FAQs and places there. And then if they have a question that is not answered, if they can't get to the physical place and they're online, they can't get their answer, do they reach out to someone in particular? Is there a website or an email address they should contact? Just as
there are two ways to gain that information. One is just open to the general public, which is our LA district office. So that would be lado@sba.gov. And the second way would be to contact either myself or my director, Julie Close, and I will provide that contact information for you to share here in the chat. Right now, I am sharing primarily with our host and panelists, but I will ask that you share that out with everyone. And we are happy to help in any way possible. Do not hesitate to contact us at any time.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Fred, as well. I know Jessica was with us as well, and Stephen. This is, like we said, going to be a regular briefing for 45 minutes on Fridays at 11. We encourage you to come back and get more information. I know a lot has changed since even a couple days ago, and I know that by next week we'll have a lot more information to share as it relates to how we can help our small businesses recover. We're going to post, in just a moment, we'll post all the contact information in the chat for you for the, there it is, for the SBA. Thank you again, Crystal, for all your insights today. I hope all of you are able to continue to take this information, share it with others who might need it. And again, visit togetherforla.org, where you can access the updated information for small businesses. .com. Thank you. togetherforla.com. And with that, I wish you a good day, and we'll be back in touch shortly with new information. Thank you for joining us.